Welcome. Join me as I cover another analysis video, but this time somewhat different, more to do with language used by Kenny Veach. I'm going to be sharing with you key lines used and words used by Kenny Veach himself, and then showing the contradictions he made later on, which could reinforce one of two things. Either one, he was lying, misleading us, or two, he was confused himself. Let's get into the video. Down this long road, there has been many mysteries and many sightings, whether it be visual or auditory, and even findings online, information regarding Kenny Veach, observations made by people, picking up on strange stuff which doesn't add together. In this video, we take a look at an observation of language used by Kenny Veach in his video. Lines and words which just don't add up quite right. Moments where he contradicts himself to the point you question, is he quite there with it? Or is he trying to misdirect us? Who knows? But I'm going to share with you footage of Kenny Veach as well as audio, proving the point that the words he uses, the lines he combines, do not add up and are not consistent in what he states throughout the video.
And it's about as tall as I am and kind of narrow, and it's stuck on the side of a mountain, so I hope I can find it again.
Now, from what we can infer from what Kenny Veach stated, was the M cave is not on ground level, nor is it at the very top of a mountain. It is situated somewhere in between, thus meaning there is some form of altitude and height to get to it. Now, if we do a Google search and type in the line Kenny said, majority of search results, as you can see on screen, show pictures of caves, shallow and deep, situated high up in the mountains on the side. That is the main result, what you'll get when using that line. So in general, that would imply the cave Kenny saw, the M cave, was not on ground level. It was much higher up. Now, the problem is what Kenny states later on in the video, which contradicts the description of the location of the cave. Let me share this with you.
So, lots of little caves and stuff along here, and it's about level with the ground, like in an area like this. So I really got to keep my eyes peeled because I don't want to pass it. Yeah.
So after watching the second piece of footage, Kenny clearly states that it's on ground level, near to where he was stood. Now that is completely different to what he stated in the beginning of the video, saying the cave was on the side of a mountain, thus meaning higher up. What are we, the viewers, meant to believe? When an individual who seems to have a wide range of knowledge of the landscape, the area and the environment, yet gives two completely contrasting descriptions of the location of the M cave. What is going on?
So, hopefully I'll find it. It's shaped like a big M. It's a big cave that looks just like a gigantic M, and it's about as tall as I am. And I have not seen the funny looking little cave.
And once again, comparing the two pieces of footage, 1 minute he says it's a big M-shaped cave, it's deep and it's dark, and then towards the end of the video he ends up saying, oh well, couldn't find that small funny looking cave. Once again, what are we meant to believe? If he's stating it's a big M-shaped cave, it reinforces the idea that it has not been located nor recorded by any investigator since. But if it's the latter, that it's a small, funny-looking cave, well, there's several of them out there. And even Kenny Veach in his video stated there's lots of little caves out here. So what is he really getting at? Because if it just so happened to be a small, funny-looking cave, as Kenny stated at the end of his video, then maybe one of the hikers in recent time did pass by it, did capture it. But when Kenny gives two differing descriptions, it makes it harder to judge whether it's real or not, whether it has been found or not.
There's actually caves all over the place up here. It's a really cool place. If you want to come spelunking, this is the place to come spelunking, man.
Now, the contradiction and misinformation here is Kenny is stating that one can go spelunking in Pitcher Canyon, Mojave Canyon. The word spelunking is defined by cave exploration, where you go into a deep cave and not a very shallow one. There's a difference. And as we've seen, and as Kenny has shown, that there is many small caves in that area. But are they explorable? No. As you can see, here are some examples of spelunking. The caves are deep, many are dark, and there's a lot of depth to them. Can you honestly say these are the sort of caves you'll find in Mojave Canyon, Pitcher Canyon? Have any of the hikers found caves this deep? No. And as Kenny stated, there are many small caves, which basically means many shallow, dead-end caves which were notified and noted down by Scott Natal, who inspected many of the caves, most likely Aquachiga, Jay Silverheels, Sean, Jeff Clark, the rest of them. None found any deep caves. So what is Kenny getting by that statement? You can't go spelunking because there's no caves around. The only one that would be possible would be the M cave, because supposedly that is deep and dark and big. But as previously stated by Kenny, he can't seem to make his mind up to where the location of it is and to what size it is, due to the contradiction. So as a whole, it makes you question what is right, what is wrong. Does Kenny know what he's talking about? And the idea of spelunking is just yet another concept made by Kenny, which simply cannot be done and does not exist within the area.
Very, 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 very few people come down here. Did I say enough varies? So I'm gonna shut the camera off again and but I did see a rock cairn, so somebody has been down here. Another adventurer like myself. So
Now this was just a small piece of evidence I wanted to note down, as it directly links to the language and contradictions made once again. Now Kenny was emphasizing and exaggerating on the word very. By repeating it, he used repetition. Now, normally when an individual uses repetition and emphasis, they're clearly stating the importance of a certain word or subject they are talking about. And in this case, Kenny Veach is stating the importance that the area, the location he is in, is desolate and virtually no one really comes here most of the time. But the contradiction is, later on in the video, is something like, oh, and here was another adventurer like me that came down here in recent time. That's from what we saw in the video. Now, when an individual like Kenny Veach, who holds a lot of knowledge within and experience based off what he's done and the area he is located in, the times when he seems confident and specific in what he says reinforces that from his knowledge. But then the times he is reckless in choices of wording and sentences, like the contradictions, but also the emphasis and repetition of certain words which turn out to not be quite true, such as other explorers in the vicinity, it discredits him in a way, ultimately. You know, in general, if a human is precise, specific, consistent and frequent, they are more likely to be trusted and listened to. But when an individual is reckless and often contradicts themselves, they are less likely to be listened to or taken serious. Now in Kenny's case, it's a little bit of both. And it makes you wonder, is it his mental state, or is there something else just on his mind which distances himself from reality, or from at least coherently speaking? That is a question in itself. So, in conclusion, there are at least two theories you could go off by. Either theory 1, it's all a lie. Misdirection, leading people on, making it into a long, mysterious story which never existed because of the contradictions made by Kenny. His lies showed through, he slipped up. And that is possible because in real life, certain humans who keep up a lie end up revealing it down the line because they make a mistake, slip of the tongue, or a contradiction. And then the truth comes out. It normally does at some point. Now maybe this was evident in the video by Kenny Veach as he made contradictions and did spread misinformation. Maybe it was showing then. Possibly. Now, there is a second theory, and it ties back to the previous video I did, mentioning Jeff Clark and his discovery. If we're basing it off the idea that Kenny Veach M-Cave was on ground level, then it's clearly evident that with all the investigations by all the hikers, not a single proper M-Cave has been found and clarified. But if we're basing it off the theory that it's halfway up a mountain, higher up, higher elevation, well, Jeff Clark was really the only one to have come across an M-shaped cave high up within the same area, and yet nobody else saw it. And why is that a key point? Well, whilst many hikers and investigators who have been basing the clues off Kenny Veach by its on ground level would never have found it and will not find it. But if there's an extra factor to take in mind, such as height and elevation, well, none of them hikers took that into mind for most part of it in that area. But Jeff Claw did. Right place, right time, was able to see it and locate it, and was really, from what I know of, the only one to get up close to it. So what would that reinforce? It would reinforce the idea that if we're still believing in Kenny that it does exist, the cave, it's most likely higher up, on a side of a mountain, not ground level. And because most hikers have missed the cave Jeff saw, what else is out there that has not been noted? That is the key question you've got to ask yourself. So, with all that in mind, you never know, the cave could still be out there. Kenny Veach himself, well, that's a mystery within itself, what was going on in his mind and how he processed stuff and described it verbally. But aside from that, I hope you enjoyed this detailed, in-depth analysis of language from Kenny Veach. Whilst things have been done visually and auditory, I thought it was worth taking a look at the actual language and wording used by the individual that went missing. Maybe it does reveal something. It might spark off and ignite more truth coming out down the line. You never know. If I've missed any key details or contradictions, feel free to leave a comment down below and let me know. That is all for now. I will see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.